digital transformation in the last decade. Now, new digital tools are reshaping how farmers grow crops and consumers buy them. Now, with the use of information and communication technology, that is ICT, the way we farm is changing for the better. Farmers can use sensors to track soil health, plant growth, and even weather patterns to make more informed decisions about using inputs like seeds and water. And now on the show today, we shall be talking to Samuel Munguti, who is the founder and CEO of Shamba Pride. Shamba Pride offers one-stop online to offline platform that connects smallholder farmers to services like technology-powered now digi shops. Now, prior to the founding Shamba Pride, Samuel was the COO at Farm Shop. He began his last milestone distribution career in agriculture and FMCG industry for the last 14 years, where he managed product research and also development, last mile distribution, sales and marketing for several multinationals across Africa, including Coca-Cola, L'Oreal and Colgate Palmolive. Now, welcome to the show, Samuel. We'll be looking forward to talk to you. We'll also have Magdalene Alukava, who is the head of ICT at Kenaf. Magdalene has a strong background in data analysis, machine learning, and also statistical modeling. She's skilled in using a variety of tools and technologies, including Python, R, and soil to extract insights from larger and complex data sets. I have worked on a variety of projects, including developing predictive models and for customers, churn and optimizing logistics operations. That is what she says. And lastly, we have George Shege, who is a graduate from the University of Nairobi. He believes in taking care of our natural world, which is the environment, also a background in biosystems engineering. He also says that he's passionate about using technology to reduce carbon emissions from farming activities, as well as advocating for circular economy within the poultry industry to maximize on better nutrition for both high and low income consumers. Thank you so much for joining us today on the show, gentlemen and lady. Thank you so much. Now, let's get into the conversation. We're talking about ICT and how it is impacting the agricultural sector. First of all, Samuel, from you, now you being CEO at Shamba Pride, how has ICT really contributed in what you're doing at this moment?
Thank you, Kevin. First of all, probably I introduce what Shamba Pride does.
Yes.
Shamba Pride connects rural smallholder farmers to services, technology-powered digital shops. Mm-hmm. We popularly call them digi shops. Mm-hmm. And basically what we do is that we work and partner with rural agro-dealer stores. And in Kenya, for example, agro-dealer stores play a key role in last-mile distribution ecosystem. They fall in between big manufacturers of agriculture inputs and services and wholesalers and last-mile farmers. Mm-hmm. So Shamba Pride, they partners with these agro-dealer stores and farmers around them. Probably on average, a single agro-dealer store services between 300 and 500 farmers from the same village. So these agro-dealer stores, we transform them along three key areas, and one of them is technology. We offer them a technology which we have called DigiShop, and basically the technology supports these stores, do digitalization of their operations. For example, simple things like digital inventory management, digital extension services, digital sourcing, and farmers around them, they get a platform where they can access extension services. And two, capacity building. We believe that rural farmers, just like modern population in modern huge centers, commercial centers, they really deserve unique, good customer experience. So we partner with these stores through training services on business management, customer service, marketing, so that they can offer farmers improved retail experience. And three, solving their big challenge of supply chain. We give a platform where these stores can really source inputs directly from big suppliers, and also now with farmers, really we bring the gap where at the simple touch of their mobile phones, they can order for seeds, for fertilizer, agrochemicals, and also access extension services. And basically that is the journey that Shamba Pride is leveraging technology to transform rural agriculture in Kenya.
Okay, so you've extensively explained. So when you look at ICT, before we even move to Magdalene and George, ICT, how is it improving what you are doing at this time with connecting to farmers?
So when you look at ICT, one is leveraging on information technology. First, really enables services to farmers, really more scalable.
Okay.
When you talk about extension services, for example, compare digital delivery of extension services and physical delivery.
Okay.
Basically, in terms of cost, is more expensive, up to 10 times, to deliver farmer training through physical.
Yes.
For example, pulling farmers together and really having extension officer visit those farmers and take them through training sections, either on livestock or crop. On the other side, really leveraging on digital platform, like building customized value chain content where you can really mass deliver to 1,000 farmers, to 1 million farmers, to 10 million farmers at the touch of a button. It's more sustainable, it's more cost effective, and actually when you talk about ICT, that's the power of ICT.
Okay.
Deliver large scale solutions at a more cost effective way. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Magdalene,
Yes.
head of ICT at KENAF.
Yes.
I mean, in the digital world that we are right now, that is almost the basic thing that really influences the way things move around even agriculture and how you connect to farmers. How is it heading the ICT at KENAF, and how are you working with different farmers, I mean smallholder farmers, even across the country?
Thank you so much. First of all, I'm really honored to be here. I'll introduce KENAF. Kenya National Farmers Federation is the national farmer organization in Kenya, and our core mandate is to lobby and advocate farmers' issues. But aside from that, being a member-based organization, so we have to offer services to our farmers. And one of our strategic focus in the year 2022 to 2026 is having a promotion of data innovation and ICT in agriculture, and that is where I come in as KENAF, as Magdalene. And what we are really focusing on is data, given that we are in the age of artificial intelligence.
Yes.
So how do we leverage the data that the farmers are connecting, are already generating, so that we can offer them tailor-made services? And when I talk about tailor-made services, is how do we connect the farmer to market? How do we connect the farmer to finances, given that it's a major challenge for a farmer? So what we are trying to do, of course, together with other partners like MasterCard and Cooperative Bank, we are working on a project called the Farm Pass platform. And with that, what we are trying to do is building digital identities for farmers, because we want to put respectability to a farmer. In that, when a farmer wants to access, let's say, credit, what is offered, instead of them offering their title deed as collateral, the data that they will have generated is what is presented to the bank, and the bank is able to offer credit. And also working with farmer cooperative, how do we connect farmers to market through the platform? But the overall goal of the project that we are currently working on is for a farmer, given that we will have created their digital identities, is for them to be offered with a card. So with this card, it will contain all the information about a farmer, how they're transacting, how much money they've made. So in that, when they want to access any service, let's say an input service, instead of them going with cash, the card is what they will present. Okay. So that is the broader goal that KENAF is looking at into transforming the agriculture sector. But also maybe to tap into what also Samuel had said in terms of digital extension. So the government stopped hiring agricultural extension. So that is where now private sector really needs to come in strongly, and we are looking at digital tools. Like now with the mobile technology, almost everyone in Kenya having a mobile phone, even if it's a feature phone or a smartphone. So how do we reach the farmer using the technology infrastructure that is already there? So we have a platform called the Farmer Video Library Organization. So from there we offer agricultural knowledge to a farmer. So the information can be either accessed via text, via voice, or via video. So we have this in place in order to ensure that although the extension service the farmer can still continue gaining information using the digital tools that we have.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you so much, Magdalene. And George, the Chief of Tech at RNIFU, and when you look at your profile, you're really going big on the environment and how this is also contributing into agriculture. So when we look at the innovations in technology at this time that almost every industry is going into the tech side and also the digital platforms, how is it working with this particular kind of innovations, even to influence the environment and also contribute to agriculture?
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and good afternoon to all of viewers. I'm George, and I'm co-founder and CTO of RNIFU.
Yes.
Just to give you a brief background, RNIFU is a Nairobi-based tech startup. I'm working to impact poultry farmers. So we work in the chicken value chain, transitioning farmers from using charcoal heating to cleaner sources of heat. So we have electric heaters, LPG, biogas heaters,
yes,
and they're also trying to figure out how to get solar into the mix. So basically reducing the workload for our farmers, as well as removing the guesswork out of the farmers using sensors to monitor and automate now all these heating sources. So you're just making the work easier for the farmers and using technology to do this, but we also have software technology which is in pilot stage. So we're also trying to help the farmers with giving them curated information on how to improve their productivity on a farm level. So my specific farm, what is needed in terms of feed, in terms of water intake, in terms of medication, in terms of everything, and hoping to use this data to provide traceability to the end products. So I'm passionate about agriculture, I'm passionate about tech. I come from a tech background. Since I was small, I've loved tinkering with things. I've broken many things in the process of doing that.
Yes.
And so I think working in the innovation spaces comes naturally to me, and I think the environmental aspect of it has actually come the last few years, but it's something that has been passionate to me for the longest time.
Okay.
And we didn't start RNIFU thinking that it was going to be something to do with the environment, but somehow it morphed into that. And I think as technology is becoming the fifth factor of production, I think everyone, no matter the scale they are working at and whichever industry they're working at, I think technology and environment need to be key and center in their decision-making process.
Right, George, thank you so much for that. So just hold it right there. Don't go too far. We're going to go for a short break, but when we come back, we're going to also delve deeper to look at how ICT is contributing into the agriculture sector in our country. And you as a farmer at home, how you can also use some of these platforms that our guests have today in order for you to make work easier for you. So don't go too far. We'll be back with more.
Pamoja na tukue pamoja, kuimarisha Kenya ni jukumu la Farm Kenya.
Subscription yako uwe connected. Guswa hisia na drama na telenovela freshi, movie kali, documentaries, mziki na lifestyle channel. Changamka na Star Times. Let's get ready to download Star Times on app kwa burudani kemkem kwa wakati wowote popote ulipo. Star Times, furahia maisha kidijitali.
It all begins with a single step.
This is Game of Ninja.
I really like it.
Get ready for the ultimate television experience where entertainment, inspiration, and information collide. From heart-pounding dramas,
how can you be so shameless? You've brought this woman into our house despite what happened?
To laugh-out-loud comedies,
jinga kabisa, utakufa maskini ndugu yangu. You will die angry.
To adrenaline-pumping sports coverage. With a diverse lineup of programming curated to entertain, educate, and engage.
Yes, I have nothing more to add.
KTN, welcome home.
Jik cleans and kills 99.9% of illness-causing germs and COVID-19 in your home. Jik, your family's guardian against germs and COVID-19.
This House regrets the government of Kenya's proposal to transition all public service staff from permanent and pensionable to contract terms.
Please note, even as a permanent employee, you can be fired. And so this debate cannot be about the worst employees. It is about the best employees and how best to keep them and how best to retain them.
Kenya currently is an African third world country riddled with problems. We do not have money, we have problems of infrastructure. Recently, we're experiencing loss of lives, damage of property, and ruining of infrastructure due to floods, which is why in our world, we believe that cost control and flexibility is highly important, especially in a government like this.
Understand that social biases and tribalism exist in both worlds. They can't say that in our world people are hired because of tribalism, but in their world employees are magically hired and retained because of their performance.
We believe in our world we are going to accrue better efficiency for not just that person who's supposed to fulfill, maximally utilize their potential as a person, as an individual in the state, to the state, and also to the people themselves.
Subscription yako uwe connected. Guswa hisia na drama na telenovela freshi, movie kali, documentaries, mziki na lifestyle channel. Changamka na StarTimes. Let's get ready to download StarTimes on app kwa burudani kemkem wakati wowote popote ulipo. StarTimes, furahia maisha kidijitali.
Kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja, kuimarisha Kenya ni jukumu la Farm Kenya.
All right, welcome back. This is Farm Kenya Show, and right now at this moment we are going to look at Farm Guide, which is going to set pace for the conversation that we have today. Remember, today we are talking about ICT and how it is contributing into agriculture. So let's take a look at Farm Guide.
Smallholder farming in Kenya is key to the country's food security and economy, and as mobile technology use increases and improves in rural areas, there is a huge potential to digitize agricultural services as an end-to-end ecosystem.
We are living in an ecosystem in Kenya where agriculture is very fragmented. Very many middlemen and women are between the farmer and the ultimate service providers, be it at the input side or the final market. And so what we are trying to do with technology is to disrupt that fragmentation by enabling grassroots businesses become a one-stop shop, so that a smallholder farmer only has one trust relationship with a service provider at the grassroots, where they can purchase everything from soil testing to plowing to fertilizer and seed, and ultimately sell to the same grassroots business their output market.
We've had a lot of ICT companies coming to Kenya promising to do one thing or the other. And quite a number of them have turned out to be, just talk. But just looking closely at what Angribora is offering, their value proposition merges, coheres rather nicely with our pillar number 6, because we do believe that the software that they are offering, including in geo-mapping, in credit access, is what we really need so that we can support our commitment to to our members.
Data-driven agriculture is a system of using big data to supplement on-farm precision agriculture to make better decisions. While it is difficult to reach farmers at an individual level, the best way to help farmers use data is through aggregation through cooperatives or groups using simple technology such as USSD, short messaging services through simple feature phones, or what we commonly call Mulika Mwizi.
And we came up with a very simple technology, the USSD code, where we are offering 4 items on COVID-19 information, on market facilitation, weather information, and technical advisory services. And we were shocked at how much the uptake was because we started, I think, in July of 2020. And by September, we had 300,000 farmers signed up to this platform. And I think as of now, we have close to 700,000, and we've been offering different, we've been sharing information and knowledge through this service.
Through the transactions that go through the Agri-Hub, we are also able to start monitoring the crop development. Gone are the days where we will now just speculate about how much yield we will receive from our fields. By leveraging on ground data such as date of planting, the varieties that have been planted, and then satellite data, because every 5 days we are able to get an image of the field, and we're able to analyze this through our AgriMap service to enable stakeholders such as agri-processors and governments have in-season analytics and insights about what has been planted where, when, and how much has it been raining, how much do we expect in terms of yield.
There are, however, various challenges with getting farmers on board and to adapt new technologies due to the fear of the unknown.
Yeah, when you start looking at how you're transacting money through e-wallets and these challenges that arise there, that has been one of the pain points, but also looking at how you can digitize grassroots businesses that do not have the devices that are able to actually use such kind of technologies. Most of them do have smartphones, but have not really interacted with their smartphones well to be able to run their business over them. So you realize that they still continue tracking their processes on paper, and then in the evening when they are settled down, that is when they move it onto the phone. And so you want to disrupt that to make it a process that actually is done on a day-to-day basis.
Kenya has over 7 million smallholder farmers, and apart from earning through the sale of farm produce, this technology opens numerous opportunities through connecting various services in the whole value chain. Data is used for various purposes in agri-food systems. For farmers, it can be used to make decisions of what to produce, where to produce, and when to produce on the farm. Making such decisions requires the support of localized data from the farm, such as soil, and imported data from outside the farm, such as weather data and market data. Another use of data for farmers is monitoring and assessing how the crop is growing and whether the required resources are available.
For Farm Guide, I'm Paul Mbogwa.
All right, now we are going to get into our conversation. And when you look at that story from Paul Mbogwa, I mean, we're looking at very many things, especially when it comes to data and how informed farmers need to be, and smallholder farmers. We've seen 7 million smallholder farmers in Kenya. So, Munguti, let me just ask you. Earlier on, we saw a story where farmers didn't have access to top dressing, and you are of course in the forefront when it comes to connecting farmers to inputs. So how are you bridging the gap between farmers and accessing these inputs?
So thank you, Kelvin. So when we look at leverage on technology to unlock the potential of farmers, and actually for us, we don't look at tech unlocking the potential of farmers alone, but also unlocking even the economy of the country. Agriculture contributes massively to Kenyan economy, like massively to the tune of 23-24% GDP. We look at tech in 3 key areas. One is streamline operations and improve efficiency. And for us, we look at key players in the agriculture sector, farmers, SMEs in that sector. For example, for farmers, can they leverage on technology to do simple digital record keeping? Can they leverage on technology to access inputs better? Can they leverage on technology to access extension in an easier, cost-effective way?
Yes.
And for SMEs like agro-retailers and other SMEs in the sector, can they leverage on technology to move away from zero record keeping to digital record keeping, to do more precision-led decisions in terms of, for example, purchasing, in terms of business management, and to us, that take us to that other level of improving cost. If farmers improve cost, definitely you talk about improved profits, improved yields. Can farmers leverage on technology, for example, to use the right amount of fertilizer instead of just thinking around, it's time to do planting, then we go to the nearest shop and buy fertilizer. Can they actually leverage tech to optimize and buy exactly the fertilizer that is needed? Can agro-retailers and other SMEs leverage on technology to do more precision-led decisions in terms of managing their businesses? And lastly, leverage on technology to improve profitability, to improve revenues, to improve farm yield, because actually that is the end product for whether it is players in the agriculture sector leverage on tech, or even farmers leverage on technology. They want to see these tools, whether it is marketplace tools, whether it is inputs at sex tools, whether whichever gap is being bridged by tech. Is it leading them to improved yield, improved profitability? Is it for SMEs? Are they seeing improved revenues, improved customer base, improved? And basically that's what technology is doing. We have seen farmers leverage on tech, actually improving, streamlining the operations, cutting cost heavily, and eventually registering improved farm productivity.
All right, thank you so much, Munguti. And George, let me bring you in. Munguti is asking this question: can farmers leverage on technology to do all these things? And now that you are big on tech, of course, and you've said it's something that you're passionate about, how do you convince farmers? Because as we've seen from the story there, sometimes there's challenges, especially when it comes to how farmers are connecting with technology. Very many farmers are not tech savvy. So how is it easy for them to leverage on technology?
Okay, so thank you for that question. So I think technology is very important, and it needs to be embraced by each and every farmer to improve the productivity of the farms. But technology as well has to be curated and developed with the small-scale farmer or the end user in mind.
Yes.
So there's a lot of design and intelligence that has to go into that to ensure that this technology that you're developing is suitable for the end farmer. So I think we have quite some good penetration of smartphones in Kenya, but we are still lagging behind. So features such as SSD, SMS are still very powerful technologies, though they're old school. Technology doesn't mean that it has to be the newest that is out there.
Yes.
Even old technology is very relevant to us here in Kenya, and especially in the farming industry. And I believe that whoever is building this technology, the likes of Arenifu and my colleagues here, have to actually be able to have the end user in mind and have enough research to be able to make this technology fit for the farmers.
Okay. And Magdalene, now George has spoken about research, and I believe when you collect the data of different areas, research is really, really important. And with such research and the amount of data that you collect, which is a lot, how easy is it for maybe you to create a USSD code for a farmer who doesn't use smartphone, who doesn't have maybe technology, something to look at that will help them know, okay, this is the weather that is going to be coming, this is what I need to do. How do you do that?
Well, that's a very good question, because as KENAF, we've already done that. As the clip played earlier, and my CEO was talking about USSD code platform. So we collected farmers' data. That is one, by registering them on the USSD code platform, but also now going further to ensure that how do we disseminate information to farmers, information on best agricultural practices, information where they would sell their market to. And our USSD code system really is good because it ensures digital inclusion. And with that I mean, even for the person who has a feature phone, is able to receive this information. So we were working with research institutes like Calro, where they're doing quite a lot of research, and then using this USSD system really to share the information to farmers. As George had mentioned, you know, we present information, but how do we present it to the farmer to ensure that it's digestible enough? And for our USSD code platform, it really provides a very good platform for us to be able to share the information to farmers. So we would send weekly information to farmers on weather forecast, like today it's going to rain, or this is the temperature and humidity, so do this and this. So with that, farmers can actually plan their schedule, whether it's for planting or harvesting. And as I said earlier, as KENAF, we want to have a data-driven agriculture sector. So it's really looking at data and providing this information to farmers for them to be able to make decisions.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Magdalene, and also, before we move on, when you talk about data protection, what are some of the measures that you're putting in place in order to secure farmers' data?
So one, of course, is compliance with the Data Protection Act. And then number two, KENAF, we are in partnership with Cooperative Bank and also MasterCard. So both of them have got infrastructure that really protect farmers' data. For example, we all bank with banks, right? And we can sleep at night peacefully knowing that our money is safe. So the banks have already developed this infrastructure to enable, even as we engage our farmers, their data is safe. But also looking at the farmer themselves providing consent at the point where they're sharing their data to KENAF, right? And also there is, when they are receiving messages, there is also the option of opting in or out. So with that, a farmer really knows what they are getting into. They really know what their data is going to be used. And also as KENAF, we have education programs. We build the capacity of our farmers, so for them to know that once my data is shared, this is how it's going to be used. So those are some of the measures that we have in place together with our partners to ensure that the farmers' data is protected, one, and also as much as farmers are generating the data, how is it of value to them? What benefits are they getting from the data that they are generating?
All right, thank you so much for that. And George, you want to add something on that? Because I saw it's as if you wanted to add something. Anyway, let's also look at climate change and how it has really changed the way agriculture is now happening, because for weeks now we've been having rains. Farmers had planted and some of the farms really, and you can't salvage anything. So Mungoti, as you work with farmers, how do you encourage them to even continue after such a disaster? And also, what are some of the measures that you can maybe present to farmers for them to take care of their farms during such disasters?
Okay, thank you very much. When you look at climate change, actually, for us, we look at it in the two extremes. One is unpredictable, limited rainfall, and the other extreme is what we have been experiencing the last couple of weeks in Kenya. And for us, we really look at it and build mitigations around the two. For example, to mitigate farmers, really to build more resilience to limited rainfall. We have been running programs where we create community adoption change, for example, to adopt more climate-smart inputs. For example, when you look at traditional products that are really darling for many Kenyans, maize and beans, For example, maize really will need quite a lot of rainfall for you to really register quite good productivity. A crop like green gram and sorghum probably will need a tenth of that amount of rainfall. So farmers really in areas with limited rainfall, they can switch to more climate smart inputs and actually optimize yields, register more better revenues and productivity. On the other side, we have Kenya Meteorological Department. Actually, it has been playing a huge, fantastic role in disseminating climate smart information. For example, floods, for example, rainfall patterns and all that. I think there's a huge opportunity even for digital platforms and digital technology companies to leverage, to partner with the Kenya Meteorological Department. Really, the data they disseminate and generate can really be more amplified through different platforms. For example, Shamba Pride, we have been really working with them. They send us their data they generate. We also disseminate through our platform. And I know that's an area that, for free actually, that's an area where many players, both the private sector and also other non-profit like KENAF, they can leverage on, really to build more resilient farming communities to the extreme of limited rainfall and also to the other extreme of floods and heavy rainfall. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Magdalene, before we get to George, let me bring you in. Of course, cost of data. Many people usually have a fear when it comes to this particular segment. So just explain to us how easy is it and also how cost effective is it to just make sure that at least at the end of the day, you're using this particular kind of platform in order for you to get information.
Yes, first of all, the cost of collecting data is quite expensive.
Yes.
Because you have to go to the farmer and, if there are surveys or questionnaires and you collect all that. But then again, a platform like as simple as a USSD code platform is really quite expensive to maintain. And for the majority of the farmer, it's very quite difficult for them to pay for this service. So as KENAF, while we are starting our KENAF USSD code project, took the cost of the farmer. So there's the question of sustainability. And I think also that now drives to my point of the data we are collecting, how do we generate value for the farmer so that they see it and they're able to pay. And that value would be, how are we getting money into the pockets of farmers? How are we connecting them to financial institution, to input suppliers, to better markets where they would, gain better prices than what they are already having at the moment. So it's more of working backwards for us to provide the value first to the farmer, to enable the farmer to pay for the cost or for the service that they are receiving. So those are some of the things that as KENAF we are really looking into. What kind of value are we providing for the farmer? Yes.
All right, George, now she's spoken about the data and you are using this data with farmers also to input. How much does it cost to just do all this? And at the end of the day, after all this is done, what is the end goal? That if someone just decides to invest their time there, they will get at the end of the day?
Okay, so thank you very much for that question. Just to first and foremost elaborate on how we're using this data with our chicken farmers. So we are harnessing the power of IoT. So IoT is just basically connected devices. So you're working with temperature, humidity sensors, and also incorporating water sensors into our systems. So the system is called Smart Brooder, and it's out there. Everyone can check arinifo.com and find us there. So Smart Brooder basically uses these sensors to monitor the climate within that specific house. So we are not taking broad data such as satellite data, but you're using like sensor-specific, farm-specific data, and you're using this data to automate heating. So chicken happen to be very sensitive to climatic conditions. So you'll find even like in July, previously, when it was the coldest, you'd find that production of poultry products was actually lower. And so you find that having access to this data and being able to use this data not only just to provide information, we also use it to automate systems in the farm to a certain extent, not fully, but to a certain extent. It's able to provide the farmers with increased returns in terms of reducing certain costs, let's say cost of heating, cost of labor, and such costs. So data, investing in it might be a bit high because there's an R&D cost to it on our end to do the research, to make, because technology is just basically using, making practical use out of research. So the research that has gone into it, the manufacturing, so you pass that on to the farmer, but it's an upfront cost which might be, it's not unaffordable, it's very affordable, but what the farmer reaps over the next 3-4 years is outweighs the initial cost of taking these technologies.
Okay.
And, yeah.
All right, George, thank you so much for that. Now, we're going to go for a short break. Don't go too far. Now, when we come back, we're going to discuss about how farmers or smallholder farmers can get to the market using ICT in order to make work easier. So don't go too far.
Kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja, kuimarisha Kenya ni jukumu la Farm Kenya.
Lipia subscription yako uwe connected. Guswa hisia na drama na telenovela freshi, movie kali, documentaries, mziki na lifestyle channel. Changamka na StarTimes. Let's get ready to download StarTimes on app kwa burudani kemkem wakati wowote popote ulipo. StarTimes, furahia maisha kidijitali.
Just a match. It's the crescendo of a season-long symphony.
And now approaching the final critical moments. Go for one final time. Inside the final the FA Cup final.
European final.
Europa League Champions League final game.
Stay connected to GoTV to witness. Live in all the finals on GoTV. Brace yourself for the kickoff of the UEFA Euros 2024. Only on your World of Champions.
There is no longer monopoly of anything. People can learn anything. Most of the photographers in this country are self-taught, even if I teach.
Yeah.
Most of them are self-taught. YouTube and buying tutorials, downloading tutorials. So everybody today can be anything. I have seen doctors Googling. It's at that point where you have to look for ways to differentiate yourself. Technology is an enabler. You must be solving a problem. You must be responding to a need. You must fill a gap. 2017 was one of the hardest moments. I remember I delayed salary for one of my employees. Then I came in the morning. Nikakuta amebeba iMac.
Amejilipa.
Morning, my love.
Huyo mtoto tutakuja kunipata nimemzaba mabawa kwa ndani. Kumbe ndo nakwambia
Punguza Jasper bwana. I say get out.
Mwanamke ana watoto lakini ile roho yake ambayo utafikiri hajazaa.
Mtima. Mtemani mamangu angekuwa hai.
Yaani watoto wa huu mtaa nakwambia watamalizwa wote.
subscription yako uwe connected. Guswa hisia na drama na telenovela freshi, movie kali, documentaries, mziki na lifestyle channel. Changamka na StarTimes. Let's get ready to download StarTimes on app kwa burudani kemkem kwa wakati wowote popote ulipo. StarTimes, furahia maisha kidijitali.
Kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja, kuimarisha Kenya ni jukumu la Farm Kenya.
All right, welcome back, and this is Farm Kenya Show right here on KTN Home and also KTN Farmers TV. Now, before we continue with the conversation, let us look at a segment where we look at Farmer of the Day.
The Kenya Agriculture Data Sharing Platform, KADP. Over the years, lack of data sharing mechanisms has resulted in a decline in farmer-based production and extension services. The lack of a data sharing mechanism has been occasioned.
And once we had this state-of-the-art ICT infrastructure, what we term it as the big data infrastructure for agriculture, the next thing was now to collect data around the stakeholder. And we were doing all this with a way to know what are stakeholders doing on their farm, what is their environment looking like, and also what is their market dynamics looks like. So we aggregate all this data, and you can appreciate the data aggregation process is not single-handed by a single individual.
For the government, they are able to use this information to either offer very specific advisories to the different farmers, offer e-voucher services, fertilizer recommendations to the right farmers, but also be able to know when to import if they need to import, where to channel more funding if they need to, so that all the farmers are equally supported for us to be able to feed our country.
And today we also wish to challenge all of us in this country that we get to be innovative, we get to have this as the way forward to go as a country. And most importantly, our youth who feel that they have been left behind in agricultural practices, today is their day.
All right, now let's continue with our conversation. Of course, we've seen data sharing. And Magdalene, I'll just shoot this right to you. Data sharing, you know, data sharing is a very, very, very personal thing, especially when it comes to farmers sharing their information, where they are, what they are doing, even to the remote area. So, who are some of the stakeholders that you are working with? Are you working with CALRO? Are you working with KEFIS in order for you to just make sure that the data that you're collecting is in line with what is expected?
Well, to talk about data sharing, and one of the things that actually KENAF is lobbying for is having an open source data, because for institutions like CALRO or even the government is collecting a lot of data, but this data is not open source. KENAF also is collecting a lot of data, and I'm sure Samuel here also is collecting a lot of data.
Yeah.
So we have different entities collecting data, and on the farmer side we have what we call data fatigue, where everyone is coming to the farmer collecting the information, the same information. So there needs to be a centralized platform where all actors or all entities within the sector can be able to access this data, so that we don't keep on going back to the farmer.
Okay.
So those are some of the things as a lobby and advocacy organization that KENAF is really looking into. But again, when it comes to data sharing, we cannot share everything that we've collected, because at the same time we have to protect the farmer, and we really do not know the intent of the other person that we are sharing the data with.
Okay.
So I think it's not really clear, there aren't any regulations in place or measures in place where we can allow different entities to share data, and that is because we really have not enough regulation on how data can be shared,
Okay.
or data or on data privacy. Yes.
George, data sharing as Arinifu, what are you doing in order to secure the farmers, the poultry farmers that you work with and that you collect information from? How are you making sure that their data is secure?
So first and foremost, we have privacy policy where we explain to our farmers and to our clients what data we are taking from them and how we will use it. So that's the first step in being very clear on, and transparent on the data. Secondly, we work with two types of data sets. So there's the sensor data, which is kind of very anonymized and it doesn't have any bearing to it, so that one you can share it in terms of development purposes. But when it comes to personalized data, we do not share that with third parties, and we ensure that the systems that we use or the software, the cloud providers that we use are secure such that the data does not, we don't have data breaches. We've not really had one, and I hope we won't have one.
Okay.
But yes, we ensure that we work with trusted cloud service providers to ensure that the data of the farmers is safe, because I personally don't want my data out there.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And now let's move to market access. How do farmers leverage ICT in order for them to reach the markets? Because I believe when we mention the markets, of course, brokers are always just in between there. So how does a farmer make sure that they don't even go through the broker, they get to the market using ICT?
Okay, thank you. I think to a farmer, when you talk about a market, I think that's a key element of farm production, because it's for market where farmers talk about revenues, talk about farm productivity. And basically when that market is limited, or even that market is exploited, then you talk about farmers with reduced farm productivity, with reduced farm habits. For example, at Shamba Pride, currently we are targeting 3 major value chains. We are looking at expanding that in 2024 and 2025, probably make that broader. But currently we are doing green gram, we are doing maize, and we are doing beans. And basically how our market linkage connection works is that farmers in our ecosystem, they register their value chain, probably at the time of planting and the time of harvest. Then we want them to report how much excess of their farm harvest they want to take to the market. And when they report that in the system, our platform automatically aggregates those reported numbers around our digital shops. I refer to them as digi-shops. So when we have that numbers really tagged to a nearest digi-shop, for example, a digi-shop is just a village shop that is a more stronger partner of Shamba Pride. Then as our trucks deliver fertilizer and seeds and agrochemicals and other inputs to the villages, basically they'll have an opportunity to pick farmer produce and connect them directly to big off-takers in Nairobi, in Mombasa. And we have seen that significantly, crush out a lot of intermediaries. In the market ecosystem in a country like Kenya, we have up to average 4 intermediaries. And 4 intermediaries means that profitability is reduced. For example, if a farmer sells to a retailer, and the retailer sells to other 2 retailers before they sell to a major off-taker, basically that means a lot of costs, a lot of cash is lost in between. So we create a direct link between the farmer and the market, and actually that's the potential and the power of market linkage platforms. Farmers can easily connect directly to big off-takers without going through brokers, without going through intermediaries, basically. They will save costs, they will save time. Basically, a farmer does not need to wait for a market day in a village or even a market day in a county headquarters to take their tomatoes, their maize, their green gram to the market. At the time of harvest, they will really identify which market to sell to. They will compare prices basically through the digital platform. We have seen that a lot happening in Kenya. Super good players like Twiga, they are doing super great work. Mukulima Young, another platform doing super great work, and many others which I have not mentioned. Market platforms really helping farmers connect to market directly, saving cost, cutting down lots of intermediaries, basically cutting cost, putting more money to the basket of the farmer. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And also, we come back to you to speak about the export market as well. So, George, you work with poultry farmers. How do you help them use ICT in order for them to reach the market?
So we are currently piloting with that. We have not gotten to a commercial stage with that, but basically we have a software platform called Kuku Smart. So what Kuku Smart does is that it enables the farmer to keep records of how they're raising their chicken. In doing that, it also provides them with curated insights for the farm. Let's say how much feed they need to be given, how much water they need to be given. So it kind of tells them like if they need to give a vaccine, how to administer it, time of day, what to do before and after. So when you have all this data, we're able to, the plan is to be able to take all this data and be able to provide it also to the end consumer, who is the person consuming either the eggs or the meat at the end of the day. So in doing that, we want to ensure two things for the farmers. They get a fair price, and they also, it's like a trusted partner, because it's very common in the poultry industry to find someone or a farmer losing a lot of their cash from some conman saying, I'm posing to buy their eggs or their meat. So that's how we are planning to use data-driven market linkage in the future.
All right, thank you for that. And Magdalene, you work with over 700,000 farmers, or close to that, or even that is the exact number that you work with. And when we look at how this is a huge pool of farmers, so how do you make sure that they leverage on ICT in order for them to get to the market? Because that's a big market, and they also take care or plant different kinds of crops. How do you do that?
So I'll touch on two projects that we are working on, connecting farmers to markets. One is the one that I had earlier mentioned, the Farm Pass project. So what we do with that, we work with farmer cooperative. And of course, a cooperative will have 100 to 10,000 farmer members. So through the cooperative and the Farm Pass platform, what we do is we capture data of the expected yield of a farmer. So before the season ends, we already know Farmer Magdalene will have 10 bags of maize. So beforehand, we try and connect farmers to market through the platform. So the way the platform is set is connecting farmers to local markets, but as well as international markets. So through farmer cooperatives, we are able to reach as many farmers as possible. And another thing that KENAF is working on is establishing Kilimo Hubs. And with the Kilimo Hub is a platform where we have farmers and service providers like Samuel and George here who can come together and interact and engage and and share experiences. And with that, we have service providers who provide market to farmers. So when the farmer comes to the hub, we already have the data on a farmer, and then we connect them to the market. So we have systems in place, given that we have a larger membership that can be able to connect farmers to service providers, but as well to markets.
All right. And now, Munguti, how can the youth leverage on this easier way of getting to the market? Because of course you work with very many farmers. So how do the youth do this?
I think over time, we have always said agriculture is for the whole people. And this is really significantly, rapidly changing because of leveraging on technology, ICT in agriculture. And for ICT, a lot of young people really are embracing technology, basically, and they leverage on technology. Because technology makes farming easy, makes farming savvy, makes farming really not being present there to do farming, basically. And we see technology as a huge opportunity to entice and to pull a lot of young people. 3 years back, when we were running Shamba Pride, for example, in our pool of 20,000 farmers, we had on average 5% of them being young people. Now, 3 years down the line, we have that has grown significant to around 25%, and basically it's because of tech adoption. And probably to go a little bit back to what Magdalene said, in terms of joint responsibility, in terms of data collection, I would advocate, for example, for a central data depository. We have a lot of platforms, Arinifu, Shamba Pride, and many other platforms in a country like Kenya, all of them going to the farmers to collect data. I look at it differently in terms of all these players, including the government, including different stakeholders. They are all winners when we have a central data depository. We'll have like Shamba Pride collect their data. Where is that data going? Can it be in one center? Arinifu collect their data, Trigger collects their data. Can we have one central end data bank for farmers? And I think with that, things like tech adoption is really very expensive. And really, I'll talk about it expensive in a manner that to create awareness for tech adoption is really a huge investment. Something that cannot be done by private sector alone. It needs the government, it needs private sector, it needs a lot of other players. If we can have really joint responsibility in terms of data collection, joint responsibility in terms of community mobilization, community awareness to create adoption. Eventually, everyone becomes a winner in terms of we'll have farmers really access better markets, we'll have farmers access better products, like everyone becomes a winner in that case. And I think with that, we'll create a huge revolution where young people can really embrace more of agriculture, leveraging on technology. I look at it like joint responsibility. I think that would be like the breaking point for a country like Kenya, where everyone really is driving towards the same agenda. And then the same agenda, like everyone benefits at the end of the day.
Right. And George, of course, what I'm picking from Munguti is that you don't really have to be a farmer in order for you to get into this, because you saw a problem and then you decided, okay, let me use this passion that I have in order for me to solve this and this particular problem. So therefore, how can the youth use ICT in order for them at least to contribute to the agriculture sector?
So just for some clarification, I actually have kept chicken. I've actually faced the problems that chicken farmers face.
Okay.
And I think the best way to come up with solutions such as Mongotis and what even Magdalene and Kenneth are doing is to actually face that problem. So you cannot solve something that you've not seen effectively. So I'd advise the youth to take the leap into agriculture. Agriculture is not just for the older generation. I think in the next 30 years, it's us who are going to be still need feeding ourselves. So I think the youth need to take a proactive step to enter into agriculture, to enter into it with a different mindset of, I prefer entering into it as agribusiness, so agriculture for business. And I've seen so many youth within my networks, within just social media, YouTube, people doing great things in agribusiness, not only the poultry value chain, but in all sectors and all value chains. And in doing that and partnering with different players, I think there's a bright future for Kenya's agtech space. And even when I interact with agtech players across Africa, I still think that Kenyan agtech founders are really ahead of others, just because of the problems they face, but not seeing them as problems, but opportunities to build solutions.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And Magdalene, in the pool of 700,000 farmers, what percentage is the youth represented? And also, how can you encourage youth in order for them to get into farming?
So with the pool that we have, that is about 5% of young people involved in agriculture. But then again, there are several challenges that hinder the young people coming into agriculture. And I think also it's because the way agriculture for a very long time has been presented, it is like the kind of work for someone maybe who failed, right? Or it's for older people, or maybe also the young people do not want to get into the mud. But there's a lot of opportunities along the value chain in which you can tap in. I'm in data, but in the agriculture space, right? Yes. I'm a young person and I'm a woman. So there is space, and there are a lot of opportunities that one would really tap into and come into agriculture. But also some of the things that KENAF is doing, one is to put structures in place. So for example, within our leadership, there is one seat that is reserved for a young person so that they are able to articulate issues that are affecting them, right from the national level to the world level. And we also have a program called KENAF Young, where we want to bring in more youth into agriculture, and we are trying to make agriculture sexy. How are we leveraging on technology, right, to do that? For example, now for the projects that we have, because youth are the tech savvy when it comes to data collection, youth are the ones who really do that work, and we tend to involve youth and women because also women are being left behind.
Yes.
If you look at our scenarios back in the village, like our mamas will do we'll take the burden of doing all the work, the heavy work of production, land tilling and all, but the money goes to the father. So how do we also advocate for women, you know, to benefit from their hard work? So those are some of the things that KENAF is really doing to ensure that, one, the youth have a seat at the table, and also the women have a seat at the table, so that we are able to articulate our issues. But I would say that there is space for everyone, and I would urge young people to come into agriculture.
Yeah. Now, I think you've just summarized everything, because now we've gotten to the end of this, and now I would just like you to give your closing remarks, and then we move to George, and then Magdalene will finish. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. It was great being in the show. I look at Kenya the next couple of days, the next couple of years, being a champion in leveraging technology, really to unlock a lot of potential, not just for young people, but to really many millions of smallholder farmers across Kenya. There's huge opportunity in really unlocking access to market, huge opportunity leveraging technology to unlock access to quality, affordable agriculture inputs, leveraging technology to optimize yields, to reduce costs. I think the future in agriculture is ICT. Thank you.
Thank you so much. George.
So in my parting shot is a clarion call to all farmers out there. The climate is changing and we need to start adapting. So we have to start thinking of how we could leverage both high tech and low tech to be able to adapt to the changing climate. And I think the future is bright for Kenya. And I think that in the next few years, we should be able to feed ourselves and hopefully even have surplus to feed the rest of Africa. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And finally, Magdalene.
Well, I cannot understate the role of data that has the potential of transforming the agriculture sector, and also helping the farmers, giving the farmers decision tools for them to be able to make better decisions. So I think I would urge all the farmers of Kenya, of the young people and women as well, to really, work with KENAF. As KENAF, we are very willingly and very open to work with to ensure that we transform the lives of the Kenyan farmers.
All right. Thank you so much, Magdalene, right there, giving us her last thoughts when it comes to this whole idea. All right, we've come to the end of this particular show, and we were joined by Samuel Muguti, who is Shamba Pride CEO, Magdalene Alukava, who is head of ICT at KENAF, and also George Shege, who is founder and chief of tech at Arinifu. They've been discussing about the role of ICT in agriculture and how you as a farmer at home can just leverage on ICT in order to make work easier and also get you to the market in order for you to sell your products. My name is Kelvin Nyakundi. This is Farm Kenya Show. Thank you so much for joining us today.